Hello everyone, this is Dilip Kumar Tripathy, and here we have the second video where we'll be discussing the different types of demand forecasting. As we have understood from the previous video, the demand forecasting is very important for every organization which is engaged in the production process because it helps for the future planning. Now it is time to understand the differences between different types of demand forecasting. We first take the different characteristics of a particular economy to relate it to a particular type of demand forecasting. So we call it at the demand forecasting, which is based on the economy. Secondly, we also take the time period as the important dimension to take a type of demand forecasting where we'll be relating the demand forecasting to different periods of time, maybe it is the short term or the long run. Both are different because of the fact that when we make the demand forecasting for the short run, maybe we'll be engaging a typical kind of demand forecasting method. But when the same will be done for the long run, another couple of methods will be appropriate. So this is how we can summarize that the types of demand forecasting can be broadly classified under two headings. One is the demand forecasting type based on the economy, and second, the demand forecasting type which is based on the time period. Economy based forecasting, generally in economy based forecasting, we take three different factors. One is the macro level forecasting factors, which are basically different parameters of a particular economy. And we can also have industry level forecasting, where we will be taking basically the industry as a business unit, and we'll be trying to forecast the demand for a particular industry by adopting any of the demand forecasting methods. Then, of course, we can also take the single farm as the unit of the whole economy. In that case, also we can make the demand forecasting. When it comes to the macro level forecasting, we generally make the economy as our entity, and we take certain factors like the national income of the economy, the index of industrial production, even the employment level of the economy can also be taken as one of the indicators of the economic condition of that particular, economic unit. And accordingly, we can engage the demand forecasting technique, and we can predict the future demand by adopting any of the methods. Secondly, in the industry level forecasting, what we generally do, we try to engage the demand forecasting methods to predict the future demand of a particular industry. Maybe the industry is producing cement, maybe the industry is producing iron and steel, or the industry is engaged in the production of clothes. So for all these, we will be making the use of appropriate demand forecasting technique, and we'll be taking certain parameters which are basically important variables for predicting the future demand. The same thing can also be done at the farm level, and maybe the farm is engaged in the production of a particular brand of commodity. So we can use different demand forecasting methods, maybe the qualitative methods or the quantitative methods, to predict the future sales of that particular product which is being produced by the particular farm under a particular brand name. Next, when it comes to the demand forecasting on the basis of the time period, we generally take two types of time period. One is the short term forecasting time period, and second is the long term forecasting time period. So, what is short term forecasting time period? The short term forecasting time period is basically the time period which is less than 1 year. It may be 1 month, it may be one quarter, it may be even 6 months. So mostly we try to predict the future demand of a particular product within a very short period of time. And for that, we generally use the historical data For example, suppose in month of January the sale was 250 unit, and in the month of February it was 300 unit, and in the month of March it is 400 unit. So we generally predict that in the month of April, maybe it will be 300 units as it was there in the month of February. So this is how we generally assume that the demand will not change by a big amount within a very short span of time. And if there will be a change, the change will be within a specific percentage. So in this way, for the short term demand forecasting, generally we consult some people who are having expertise about the market condition, and they also have experiences, and we can consult them. We can also take their opinions. We can also try to revise the opinions again and again by consulting different experts in the same field. And finally, we try to get the consensus about the future demand of that particular product. So here we do not generally use various statistical techniques for the prediction of the future demand. So short-term forecasting can also be related to the monetary policy and the governmental fiscal policy, etc., etc. And sometimes also we try to relate the advertisement expenses, the price of the product with the demand of a particular product. Coming to the long-term forecasting time period, we understand that the time period is generally more than 1 year. It may be 2 years, it may be 5 years. It can also go up to 20 years. Generally, big industries which are investing huge amount of capital for a particular business, they need to go for the long-term forecasting of the demand, because they are taking so much of risk, and they are investing for a very big period of time. And obviously they will be making the demand prediction by very sophisticated statistical tools. And for that they will be collecting the data from different sources, maybe the primary data, maybe the secondary data. But they have to engage very sophisticated and very robust mechanism for predicting the future value of the demand. And long-term forecasting generally engages the sophisticated econometrics and time series analytical methods. And generally the opinion survey kind of methods are avoided for the long-term forecasting of the demand. Thank you very much. Next video will be about the different methods of